in this forum, this international forum. I would like to thank Datagro and Plinio for this wonderful event that is coming to an end, unfortunately, but that from what we have seen was very productive and was very interesting to participate in. We would like to participate again. Here we would like to express our willingness to come back, Plinio. In this panel, we will talk a little bit about the trade and globalization of Brazilian fruit and the byproducts. To talk about this issue, we brought Valeska de Oliveira, regional manager of the International Fresh Produce Association. We also brought Ibiapaba Netto, an executive director of CitrusBR, and Eduardo Brandão, executive director of ABRAFRUTAS, an organization of which I am the president. By coincidence, just talking about fruit exports in Brazil is talking about sustainability. It's also talking about funds and jobs. We at agriculture, we are the poor cousin. We are the smallest part in terms of revenue, while Brazil, the agro exports 120 billion, we exported 1 billion. We reached 1. That's wonderful. It was difficult to reach where we are. We reached 1 billion and we are here proudly representing our sector. On the other hand, despite the numbers in dollars, although the numbers in dollars are not so attractive to make guests look at us with become impressed with us, we paid the bill for 16% of all the labor employed by agribusiness. So that is an area that is socially correct and socially responsible. And what is interesting about this, it's not slave labor. It is not untrained labor that pays half the minimum wage. It's qualified labor that is well paid and that is certified by international institutions. All exporters, without exception, you don't get one fruit outside Brazil if the company does not have at least 3 certifications now. It's very important for people to know this. The society must know this, that the fact that we are exporting our fruit is bringing not only funds but also income distribution and knowledge and technology that our customers demand from us. They demand that we develop ourselves to serve the European and US and English markets. And our greatest challenge is to increase this 1 billion. Our greatest challenge is to increase to 3 or 4 billion. To give you an idea, countries such as Chile and Peru, they export 3 times more than we do. And these are countries that have difficulties, that don't even have a land area to grow and diversify, farmland to grow and diversify. We here in our wonderful country, we have all the possible climates. We have winter fruit like apples and grapes and blueberries, and we have technology to produce this all. I personally talked to the president after the opening ceremony yesterday. When the president was here, we had half an hour of conversation with the representatives of the associations, and I had the opportunity to talk to him in person. President, what our sector needs is the opening of markets to open boundaries so we can show the world our potential. So it is with this introduction that I invite Valeska de Oliveira to talk about this market. And today we are going to talk a little bit. Each one is going to say something, and we are going to exchange ideas about the topic. Thank you, Waldyr. Thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure. I thank you for the invitation to talk a little bit about this universe of fruit, this healthy universe. And I will talk a little bit. I will start by talking about consumption, and in which Brazil is inserted. Brazil is following all the trends and has been working hard, just as Waldyr mentioned. So I am the representative of EFTA, International Fresh Products Association, to talk to you. It's a global association of fruit, flowers, vegetables, that works for the organized growth of the sector. We work with farmers and retail and all the chains of all the links of the chain. We work with packaging as well, all the things, because we believe that only this connection, this dialogue, and this interaction will allow us to reach excellent results. The green parts is where you can see members in the world. You see people from different continents in which we represent. We work with our members. This is our message. We want to create a more vibrant future. What is that? It's to increase the consumption of fruit, flower, vegetables, and vegetables. After introducing ourselves, I would like to tell you, so we can talk about the issue of who is this consumer? What is this consumer that Brazil is working for in exports and also in the domestic market? We can only have an export market if we take care of our own backyard, of our processes, and we have been doing this. All the companies that focus on exports and the companies that work in the domestic market, they are trying to bring technology, processes, and innovation. This slide here, I would like to share with you who this consumer is, so that consumers, not only in Brazil, we are in this data. It's Euromonitor data. You have the consumer profile. We're saying that more than 63%, almost 64% of the population will be urban in 2040. So we are saying that 48% of consumers want to invest in 48% want to invest in experience. And I bring this word experience because we are talking about food and flavor and healthiness. And including when we talk about exports, this is what we want to bring to the table of all our consumers. This consumer obviously will be more focused on the issues that we don't need to come back and talk about the pandemic. Obviously, there are situations that there have been changes. Our home-centric lifestyle, how the world has become more digital, how we are here, and the social and environmental aspects. All this and this plate on this spot, we have to look it from the from the perspective of fruticulture. So there are new consumers who are looking at this issue of the future of globalization, this issue of diversification and change of channels and logistics, the importance of knowing the origin and traceability and know the roots, the future of labor and education, how we will be able to feed these people, how this food is going to come and how it's going to come, or how conveniently it's going to come to the consumer's table, and the priorities. When you talk about experiences, which was a strong word for our consumer channel, we look at what is the future, what are the priorities, and the priorities for this consumer, the priority is health and well-being. This is what we are joking. We say, oh, this is good for us. We are talking about products and sectors that are at the center of what is relevant for consumers. Bringing a few topics that we are discussing in the industry in Brazil, and here pointing out this is a very important work that the fruticulture is doing. But here we are talking about fruit specifically, but it also involves vegetables and fruit flowers. What are the topics that are being discussed by this industry here? Of course, food safety is the biggest topic, the importance of looking at the product and the inputs and technology and everything that is coming so that we can have processes, inputs and products focused on improving the flavor and the varieties to deliver a more suitable product for all demands. As Waldyr said, nobody exports here if they don't have at least 3 certificates, and we see companies specializing themselves and seeking these process improvements. International certifications. In addition to the national certifications, traceability is key for the management of the game. The importance of bringing traceability to the entire process, and we have seen farmers working in this process very concerned about this journey and this path from the field to the table, even because it brings results and brings financial results and improves the management of all companies. Technology, as you've mentioned, there is this process of empowering farmers and exporters because there is a lot of technology behind lime. Let me make this joke. There is a lot of technology behind each fruit we consume in Brazil and worldwide. Eduardo is going to talk about this path of the fruit, and I'm not going to go into this process. And sustainability, of course, farmers are responsible, fruit exporters are responsible, and they are fully focused on this issue of ESG. So sustainability is a focused topic in Brazil and worldwide. This has been discussed for the entire industry of fruit, flowers, and vegetables, health, food, and nutrition. We want to know where the food comes from, how it comes from, what I eat, and how I eat. We talk about personalized nutrition. This is something that has been discussed worldwide and that companies here are attentive to, and more responsible consumer, more prudent consumers. We are talking about, we're looking at consumers in terms of inflation and social challenges. We are looking worldwide at consumers who are selecting what they're putting on their plates. Health, as I mentioned, we are talking about a sector that can appropriate, we offer health. We offer health on a global scale. And when we talk about health, what we offer, how do we take these messages to consumers here in Brazil or abroad, talking about moments of consumption, bringing opportunities to learn more about the products with recipes, interaction, and information to show that this product, this food is essential. We have here we say that fruit, flowers, and vegetables are essential. It is a message to have this product as a priority. This is a call for the entire industry to put this product at the center. Education, qualification, and inclusion is all that. It's a specialized chain, and you need to be very professional. You need to invest increasingly more in talents, and it takes time to train a professional. And this is something that has been discussed by the fruit industry in Brazil. And finally, I will not take too long, but I would like to talk about this idea of consumption. What do consumers look for? It's to rethink logistics, rethink origin and the path of the fruit, because there is this demand for more experience and better experience and new businesses and new flavors. This is something that we have been mentioning. It's important for companies, producers, exporters, or retailers. All these companies, they have to understand the drivers that make consumers move and how this can change the game, so we can not only export 1 billion, but soon 2 billion or even more. What we are working on is that in order for this fruit be not only food or merchandise, but as an essential food for all generations, current generations and future generations. So we are very proud to work in a chain that talks about health and that generates business and social inclusion. Thank you very much. I am available for questions. I would like to open to talk about consumption and then turn the floor to the moderator and then my colleagues.
Thank you very much, Valeska. What an insightful presentation. Very good remarks that you made. Very broad presentation. I'd like to remind you that we have a vast potential to grow because it's a big market. And besides that, people will definitely be moving to the big cities, so they won't be able to grow their own fruits and vegetables. Even in the rural areas, you already see this problem. So it's an increasing trend. People are trying to look for healthy choices, maybe the pulp or something more natural. So I think as people, as consumers get educated, they get more worried about health issues. The World Organization, the World Health Organization, recommends at least 3 fruit a day. And countries that consume that amount of fruit are Spain, England, and France. So Brazil is still lagging behind. And we have to increase our fruit consumption. We have hard work ahead of us. But consumers are increasing their awareness. They know that the more fruit they eat, the healthier they will be. And longevity is also another point. People have been aging better. And when you age better, you have better health. So fantastic. What a fantastic presentation. It's great to understand the market. What we sell happiness. We sell health, good health. And we can do much more. There is a lot of room to grow here. Thank you, Waldyr. Congratulations, Valeska, on your presentation. It was very insightful. I've learned so much with your presentation. I hope I can learn much more. I'm Baba Netto. I'm the executive director, and I'm going to be showing you my presentation here. I'd like to talk to you uh, about certain things that Vanessa has already mentioned here, which is consumer choices. It was such a challenging invitation because I had to think of innovation, globalization. So our sector is globalized. We started exporting orange juice back in the 60s, around 1964. So we've gone a long way. I was just a little boy, or maybe too old, I don't know, in my past life, but this is a sector that has made a lot of progress in the last decades. And we represent 3 main exporters in Brazil, orange juice exporters. So companies that have been in the market and have been exporting for many years. And they are market leaders. They are big players in the market. Every 10 glasses that are consumed all over the world, 7 are produced in Brazil, basically in São Paulo state, in the countryside of São Paulo state. So this sector represents 84% of the worldwide population, worldwide production, I'm sorry. 61% of the orange juice produced, of the world's orange juice production is produced in Brazil. And then we have, the most importantly, we create more than 200,000 jobs in our industry. So we need labor work, specialized labor, not any kind of labor, but we need to have people on our payroll, and they need to be legally hired. So I think it's important for the population to have access to these jobs because they also can get the fringe benefits. Anyway, we are located around 3,700 municipalities, and we are 2,400 miles away from the Amazon. Don't get me wrong, I'm not criticizing producers in the Amazon, not at all, but I think there are many Brazils inside Brazil, inside one country. And this is what I'm trying to illustrate. There is the Brazil in Amazon, there is the Brazil in the Northeast, in the South. So we have different levels of conformities due to certificates and a strong presence in the international market, and even learning curves, right? Some learning curves are different from others. So this is why I like to show this slide. I've seen a lot of mixed up in the international market because problems that arise in the Amazon have been generalized, and then we are the ones, everyone is blamed for that, and it shouldn't be that way, right? I mean, these people, they need to survive. They rely on the local economy and the local agribusiness. And anyway, so orange juice production needs a lot of labor work. We've hired 44,000. We generated 44,000 jobs, which means 5.6% of the jobs were generated by agriculture in Brazil. And last year, we harvested 1 billion oranges. It was a small harvest. 100 billion fruit. 100 billion fruit, by the way. So it was a small harvest. Imagine they were all handpicked by human beings. I mean, it was not automated. We still need to invest in automation. We don't have automated harvests. So every single orange is picked one by one, and there is a social impact in the cities where these factories are. So in regards to the market, 65% of the juice we produce goes to Europe, and the European standards are very strict when it comes to imports. So people say that it's sheer luck, but it's not sheer luck. Brazil had to face a lot of regulations and a lot of strict standards in order to export. So 63% is exported to Europe. Is a great responsibility. We need to meet European standards, American standards, Chinese standards, and so on. This next slide is very interesting because just to give you a little bit of context, including innovation and what we used to do in the past and what we are doing now, the blue line shows the concentrated orange juice, which started a new niche in the market, in the orange juice production. So we started with 1 million tons to 400 tons. See, there was a significant drop. And the concentrated orange juice is 66% of solid juice, and 12 bricks is equivalent to 12 bricks. And in 2001 and 2002, we had 500,000 tons. See the curve. The curve has been increasing. Why does it happen? Because of the choices, because of consumer choices. The juice that is not concentrated is tastes much more similar to natural juice, to the juice that is freshly squeezed, and that's why consumption dropped. And Valeska even mentioned here that um, we must consume more fruit. There is a need to consume more fruit, according to the World Health Organization. So we need to meet the consumer demand, and we need to respect consumers' taste, right? So it's very important to have both available in the market, right? The fresh orange juice and the concentrated juice. So we see a very bright future for this sector. And why is that? I think the future can be much better than what we have now. Our product is a good choice for everyone's health. If you have this habit of drinking natural and freshly squeezed juice, you are already on the right track to a healthy life. There are already studies that show that you are on the track of a healthy life. To be more specific, when we look at the pandemic, it increases your immune system defense. So your immune system gets stronger because it's strengthened by vitamin C, and vitamin C has been vastly studied. So I think there are a list of things and benefits connected to the consumption of orange juice. It's a good choice for the economy because every time a foreigner has a glass of orange juice, behind that glass of orange juice, there are thousands of jobs. This foreigner has no idea of the multiplying factor that that orange juice has. So anyway, it's like a domino effect, right? Especially in Brazil. So finally, it's a good choice for the planet. And why do I say that? Because we have environmental preservation in Brazil. And our company, we I must mention one of the most important inventions of our industry. I think we offer a small contribution, just a few cents. And along with Embrapa, we develop several lines of research, and it's to forecast. One of them is to forecast harvest and harvest yields, and then we work with satellites. We scan all the crops, and then by scanning and mapping all the crops, we try to understand the variety. We try to understand the plant species, and we also the pesticides that must be used. We also do a land study, a preserved land study, and we came to a conclusion that in this area where we grow oranges, we have more than 180,000 acres of preserved land. So this means that we have 2.50 acres planted with trees. So this is a contribution for society, for the planet, and this is a contribution we have. Imagine if we didn't have vegetable gardens, if we didn't have vegetable gardens, if we didn't respect the Brazilian legislation, we wouldn't have forest reservations. So orange juice is a good choice for the planet. We've been talking about orange juice as being a good choice, And this has been a slogan that in our industry, because we want to be in touch with our customers and consumers, and we want them to be familiar and to have access to all the information that we can provide them. They don't know that orange juice is good for their health. They don't know that it's good for the economy, for the planet. It's important that they increase their awareness. I think there is a lot of misinformation, and everything is somehow misled. People are misled. The information is twisted. And so because the information has been twisted, people are not aware of what is right or wrong, what is good or bad. We have a lot of good things to offer our consumers. We also carried out a research with our consumers, and in this research, we heard 3,240,000 respondents, and they would mention orange juice every day. So we wanted to understand what they talked about. They talked about orange juice, so we want to know what they talked about. So I call it the good polarization, right? And too bad, we beat orange juice. So orange juice, apple juice used to be a leader. Now orange juice is a top of mind product. We have a close relationship with consumers, which is great. It's really cool. And what we realized that in this network, we were aligned with the slogan, right? They already agreed with the fact that drinking orange juice was a good choice, but they were not aware of the environmental, social benefits. So we played that in our side. We had that on our side. We of course implemented that in retail. We know that there are certificates. We need to be in compliance with certificates in order to have your product on the supermarket shelves. Not only in regards to food safety, but generally speaking, right? Consumers need to be sure that they're eating or drinking something that is not going to be harmful to their health. And above all, they will have some kind of benefit, and they will benefit the country that produced that product. So you may have all this information available on LinkedIn, which is a B2B platform. And in our network, we were able to have the cream of the crop in Europe, directors, CEOs, account managers, and they are all consuming our product. So this is a project with Apex Brazil. Recently, we carried out a research, and we wanted to ask them what they knew about our products. We know that there are regulatory aspects which will be very challenging in the future, but we wanted to know how much they knew about our sector. And to our surprise, we realized that these big companies, they've been hiring consulting firms, and these consulting firms have been providing reports, but these reports are very misleading. They do risk management. They see all parts of Brazil, all regions in Brazil as problematic as the Amazon, as the rainforest. But according to these consulting firms, there's not much difference between the orange juice produced in São Paulo and Minas and the orange juice produced in Pará or next to the tropical forest. Of course, they must follow the compliance rules. and regulations. On this slide, I can show you here interesting facts, and it's the impact of all this information that we provided to some retail stores. So now we can provide this information in a more accurate way to consumers. So all the main players in retail in Europe as well, they had access to this information. Tatiana Campos is leading this project, and we are going to bring all this information about agribusiness, about the orange juice supply chain. Why? Because our aim is to show them that they can keep on buying our product, because it's not only a product that respects all the compliance, is in compliance and respects all the regulations, but it is also a product that is healthy and respects other countries' regulations. So not only here in Brazil, but also overseas, orange juice will always be a good choice. And I think it's my obligation to tell you my history, our history. We have to deal with the incompetence of consulting firms because they're not incapable of facing reality, of being real. We got very annoyed with these companies, with these consulting firms. So thank you very much. I'd like to wrap it up now, and I'm going to hand it over to Edu.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ibiapaba. You really brought in very important information that, in fact, as I mentioned in another panel, we disclose our information very poorly. We do things right. We are sustainable. We are far from the problems of the Amazon. And the Amazon problems are already exaggerated. By the way, they are exaggerated. Nothing against pulling the ear of these companies that say that they don't come here to learn exactly what's happening here. There is a very strong political bias in this information, and our job is to do what you have done. The difference between the industry is that you are agriculture, but you are industry, and with this small rate created something fantastic, which I know in person. I've used the services inclusively, and it is a pity that the sectors could have their own Embrapa, which would be fantastic. But it's your information was very important, and what our takeaway is that we should do the same with all the fruit. The work of ABRAFRUTAS to disseminate. This is our job. But it is still small compared to the universe of misinformation that we see in the whole of Brazil. And please have no doubt that you are on the right path. Eduardo, let's go. Well, thank you, my friend. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, it's a pleasure to be with you at GAFI as one of the promoters of this event. We are very proud to be part of this family, right, President? And I would like to congratulate all the organizers. This is a success. I'm feeling very comfortable here. I'm with good friends and people who work in fruticulture, and my friend Valeska, and the president of ABRAFRUTAS, and my friend Ibiapaba. I will talk about the global fruticulture so we can have an idea of where we are and how we are working as Brazil's fruticulture industry. First, I would like to show what is the size of the global fruit market. Information points towards $150 billion in 2021 and growth of 5.2% per year since 2010. It's a fast-growing market, and as the people who came before me mentioned, there is an interesting gap now during the pandemic because now we were sure that fruit consumption of fruit and its byproducts are connected to healthiness and the improved health of human beings. This is very important, and we noticed this. Many people sought fruit as a way to enhance their immune system and fight COVID. So these are important data that we need to understand. Brazil's production is stabilized, 44.3 million metric tons of fruit last year, but per year, sorry. But Brazil is still the 24th exporter, although it is the third largest fruit producer in the world, just third only to China in first place and India in second place, and the fourth place is the US. So we generated 36 billion reais in gross production value, but we have less than 1%, 0.63% of the global fruit market, Brazilian fruticulture. Now, talking a little bit about consumption, as my colleagues mentioned, it's important to say that Brazil is only the 24th exporter because domestic consumption is very strong. 97.5% of the fruit we produce to stay in the domestic market with high consumption. It's not high, but still low, but around sufficient for us, 67 kilos per capita per year. But the recommended amount by the World Health Organization is 146 kilos. Our challenge is to show that fruit consumption is important, not only for Brazilian and global consumers, but for the government, that we need help in this sense. The more fruit and vegetables Brazilians eat, the lower the rate of non-transmissible diseases will be. So the government will have lower health costs. This is an argument we have been using to address the government so they can help us promote the consumption of fruit and vegetables. The trade balance is very interesting. From 2014 to 2015, we had a revolution in the trade balance, which was equal, even negative, and we started growing exponentially. And now we are negative in a very impressive way. And without you, as the creator of one of the founders of ABRAFRUTAS, you realize that we were founded in 2014. This shows to us that the industry organization was responsible for all this. When the sector decided to come together and organize itself, things changed, and they have been changed until now. We have more than 90 members who are responsible for more than 80% of all fresh fruit exported by Brazil. And this makes us very proud. This industry association is a key factor for the change in the stance of the Brazilian fruit culture. Valeska mentioned that we have a strategy in the for the international market. Until now, we depended a lot on Europe, as you can see on the next slide. But the strategy for the sector now is try to increase the volumes to the open markets and the international markets, and try to open new markets and try to stop depending on Europe, where more than 60% of our fruit is exported. If you compare we need to remove these eggs from the same basket. So we have been searching for new markets, and with the support of the government, open new markets and open new fruit in the markets. For example, avocado in Argentina, lemon in Chile, melon and grape in China, and South Korea with mango and grapes. We have been growing a lot, and the strategy, we have short, medium, and long-term strategies, and which have been successful. and we are having a positive response, especially in terms of increased exports with more shipments. We reached the first $1 billion, which for many agribusiness sectors it's a small figure, but for us it's a target that we worked very hard to achieve. We are now moving towards 2 billion. And here these are the main destinations of our exports. Here it's in Portuguese, they haven't changed. But if you have there, Europe, United Kingdom, and the United States, we have 85% of our destinations, which makes us dependent on Europe, and we have to try to change this, and this is what we have been trying to do in our industry strategy. Talking a little bit about the main products that are exported in millions of dollars. Here we have mango, melon, grape leading this ranking, but fruit that whose exports were low have increased, like avocado, which has increased a lot and has been very important in the search for healthiness and the understanding of growers and consumers, and the understanding of consumers that consuming fruit is important for their health. We reached our first billion. We exported $1,060,000,000, and for us this was a success, and we hope to repeat this in the coming years if climate allows. The trends and values of consumers. We are talking about international and also domestic markets. There are some things that Valeska mentioned that we have to discuss, and we tried to work on this market. First, food safety. There's nothing more important than this, to show that fruit is a safe food and that consumers can consume it, because within the farms we have worked non-stop so that this fruit arrives to consumers with the best possible quality. This has to be shown in Brazil and in the world food, in order to increase consumption. This idea of fruit being healthy and bringing well-being, the pandemic helped us with that. I wrote an article a few years ago when we talked about when I started an article on fruit that said, the sentence said, cast the first stone if you started the diet and you didn't think, I will eat more fruit and vegetables. When you start a diet, the first thing you think is, I will have to eat more fruit and vegetables. So the concept of healthiness is embedded in global and Brazilian consumers, more in global than in Brazilian consumers, but we have been seeking this. And we are exporting, and we have to work with sustainability. There are many fallacies when we make our presentations outside Brazil. In Europe and Asia, we always put the map of Brazil, and we put a green part saying this is the Amazon and showing where we are producing. I'm not saying we have lemon and we have acai, which is extractivism. But people think the entire fruit production, that the mango that they eat, that the grape they eat, and the lemon that they eat comes from the legal Amazon. And we have to change this idea, but we fight in the other way, and the biased media fights in the other way and to try to hurt us. And if you offer healthy, tasty fruit and at a fair price, so that consumers and consumers can access this and growers can make money, because nobody works just to feel good. We work for people to feel good and have nice fruit, but we need to live, and farmers need to make money. And this is something that has to be clear for everyone. Let's go. Another important thing, based on everything we said, what is the strategy? A communication strategy of the sector. It is a critical success factor. We have been working on mostly with social media, with young people. We launched an editorial project, a 360 platform focused on consumers, a B2C platform. We have been working a lot with distributors, B2B distributors, but we decided to do this to show all this that I'm talking to you about. The platform is working frutasdobrasil.org. It has extraordinary views, both in Brazil and abroad. Even if it is a platform focused on European and Asian consumers mostly, it has recipes and hints, tips, and things are working very well following what our rich cousin CitrusBR has been doing with their strategy. So this is something that has been helping us a lot to conquer consumers and young people. We see young people on social media have been touching on the subject, but they don't think about this very much. So we are trying to make this information get to young people so that we can increase consumption and show Brazilian fruit, fresh and processed, that it is tasty and that the young people should consume it to feel satisfied and to have the healthiness that they seek. Moving on, we have a process that we have noticed in our work, this issue of distribution in the market. We have been doing a lot, working a lot when we have noticed an exponential increase. Valeska, you know this, of e-commerce for fruit, which was very low, and now it's very easy to do. We were recently in China working with Alibaba, and they told us that the trend is this and that we should try to do it. But in China specifically, we cannot play with the guys because they're very brute. They just to tell you a story. They called us to do a work with acai berry on the Singles Day, and he said if we got processed acai berry ready to eat, and that we put it during that day, it would focus on selling acai berry in the Shanghai region, delivering acai berry to the person's house within 30 minutes. And I talked to my export manager, said you have to do something, and he called our members and he said we can do this. I don't remember the numbers, but it was around 120 tons of acai berry in a cold chamber in Shanghai in so many days. 2 days before the Singles Day, and I came back to the guy and said, well, I have 127 metric tons of ready-to-eat acai berry. And he said, no, Eduardo, that's very good. The Chinese lady said, Eduardo, this is very good, but now can you tell me what I'm going to sell in the other 23 hours? Because I'm going to sell this in the first hour. So you cannot play with the Chinese. This distribution of e-commerce is very strong for them, and we have a solid work. And I can tell all the growers here that we have been working on promoting Brazilian fruit, participation in fairs and work in the global market. And nowadays I can tell you that Brazil and the Brazilian fruit production is recognized and is seen as quality fruit. Our brand, Fruit of Brazil, gifted by the sun, has been shown since 2014, and now when people see this bird with the sun, they connect this to healthiness and flavor and tropical weather, and this has made us reach the first 1 billion, and let's go to the 2 billion and 3 billion, and maybe someday get closer to Chile and Peru. This is more or less what I had to tell you. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm here available to answer questions. Thank you very much, Eduardo. That was very good. Fantastic information. We are used in the sector to these numbers, but listening and seeing, we think, oh, but is this right? Is that all? We have a lot of work to do. In the global market, we are very, very, very small. In the domestic market, we are still small. If you think of 2.5% of the fruit that is produced here. So the work is very big, and the world is available to us, and they want our fruit, our juice, and our products. It is incumbent upon us to do our homework, to continue doing our homework and serving these markets. I have a question for Ibiapaba. You are in the juice world, you are the rich cousin, because I think juice exports more than 1 billion. And yes, it exports 2 billion and the byproducts. So he's definitely the rich cousin. You didn't need to ask this, but I wanted to ask a question because this is a relaxed conversation. You mentioned 200,000 jobs with this revenue of 2 billion. We pay a salary of 5 million people. It is impressive. And for us, for each hectare, we employ 2 people. We are talking about 2.5 billion people, 2.5 million hectares, 5 million jobs. So with half of the revenue from juice, so we have to work together. So you have to help us with research. I talked to Juliano a lot at Conte Citrus, and he said, "Oh, lemon has to associate, but well, they help us a lot." And he is here represented by Vinicius Trobin and Marcelo Scapin, two researchers of Citrus. Fantastic. They are problem solvers. But this strategy you would tell us, share with us, with looking at the experience of the industry for our reality of fresh fruit, to show what you have done with your players. What is the reality? What is this a strategy that you would recommend that fruit could do? First, I think you're doing a very good job, because we are talking about 2 billion dollars in exports in 50 years, and you started exporting the day before yesterday, and you have 1 billion. So the work you have been doing is amazing. So I think the first point that I would like to mention is that, okay, our sectors, compared to other agribusiness sectors, they may be smaller. But we are the showroom of Brazilian agribusiness. We are the window, the store window. If you get off Guarulhos in 2.5 hours away driving, you see oranges. So we have this vocation to be the showcase of Brazilian agribusiness. Small, okay, but nice. I think nowadays there is no right strategy and there is no wrong strategy. There is a strategy in which you study, that you develop, that you agree on in the industry, and you move forward. And all strategies need adjustments. I think it's part of the learning curve. So in your case, as you mentioned, your curve is very impressive. I remember the other day I was talking to Eduardo the day before yesterday, and I said, "Oh, we are going to work on the Apex project." And I went there and came back, and now you are exporting 1 billion. So your work deserves a lot of praise. And I hope people will consume more fruit and more juice. There is space for everyone. Yes, definitely there is. Valeska, in your opinion, as a person who works in an international agency, there are no borders for you. The world for you, for your agency, you are inside all the markets. What is the tip that you would give as an institute that you represent? What is the homework that we must do?
Well, Waldyr, I think that as far as I'm concerned, we are global, and the key word here is to be aligned with the supply chain. We must work together. We must get together. It's incredible to have people from different associations together, and we talked about a brilliant future, a vibrant future. I see some practical differences, but we've already started this journey, and we started a dialogue with this supply chain. And when I talk to people in the United States and China, China is quite interested in what is happening in Brazil. They want to know the main players in the market. They were interested in melons and Brazilian melons. So is important to understand the problems of farmers, of retailers. So we need to start these discussions and these debates. And I agree with you in regards to communication. We need to communicate better with consumers because consumers are skeptical. When we talk to consumers, we can notice that they are skeptical. So we need to have a better storytelling. And our homework is not only get together, but we need to understand that we are not competitors. Non-processed fruit is not competing with juice, with the juice industry. We are good at what we do, and we can have fun even when Brazil loses to Germany, 7-1. So we are happy people, and we're known for being happy people around the world. So did you take notes, Eduardo? Let's get things done, Eduardo. Yes, I wrote everything down. So that's about it. We need to have synergy. We need to exchange information. I think this is all very helpful. We are in the same country. We want progress. We want to bring a healthy lifestyle to our children, our grandchildren. And the more information that we convey and the more aligned we are, the better it is. So this is the right path. If you allow me to say something, Valeska, in regards to communication, we've been trying to do this from a sectorial standpoint. And the FDA, Citrus, and other institutions, the idea is that they say that the idea is to create a storytelling for processed juice, but also for naturally squeezed juice. FDA will give their opinion, of course, but we need to start working on a better storytelling. And what is our competitive advantage? We are leaders, market leaders, and our fruit is very tasty. Our producers are well trained and very experienced. Brazil is a continental sized country. We have vast production. So another problem is food waste. We need to lower food waste in the production chain. So I just wanted to say that from my viewpoint, I think it's a challenge. We need to unite everyone in the supply chain so that we can write a wonderful history for Brazilian fruit in the world so that the world can be healthier, not only in Brazil, but in other countries as well. Beautiful words. Would you have anything else to say? I don't think I have anything else to say. Eduardo said it all. Oh, he's going to lend us some money, isn't he? Yeah. Well, information makes us happy, right? Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for sticking with us. Thank you, ABRAFRUTAS, Eduardo, Valeska. It's been a great pleasure to exchange all this information with us. And I think we all win, right? It's a win-win situation. Thank you, guys. Have a great afternoon. Thank you.